Hello. Welcome to Verbling. Hi there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever. Uh, for the next hour, we're going to be talking about the past simple verb tense. Yesterday, we looked at simple present. Today, simple past. And tomorrow, we're going to look at simple future at this same time slot. So today, we're going to look at how the simple past is formed, and then we're going to talk about the uses, and you, the students, will have an opportunity to practice forming sentences to illustrate or to show that use of simple past verb tense. So let's get started. Well, first I would like to greet Salvatore. Hello, Salvatore. Howdy.
Hello, Akri. Good morning. Nice to see you again.
Good morning. Nice to see you too. Nice to have you aboard. And hello, Andre.
Yes.
Hello, teacher. How's it work?
How's it work? I don't know. I think it's electric. Bah. Do you mean how is work?
I mean, I'm greet you.
Okay. Well, that's a little odd greeting, I have to tell you. How's it going? How are you doing? Would be a little more common. How's work? You could say that to me too, because you know I'm actually at work. So how is work? So far, so good. So that'd be okay as well.
Can I say how's everything?
Yes, that's a very normal greeting in English as well. Okay. You're welcome. All right. Let's get started here looking at the simple past. I'm going to do a screen share. Okay, of course, looking at the simple past form for regular verbs, obviously, we're going to use verb and just add ed. Simple enough. But then, of course, we have to concern ourselves when we're thinking about simple past. We have to consider irregular verbs, of which, although there may not be that many, irregular verbs tend to be the common verbs that we use day to day, normal conversation. Okay, irregular verbs they're all different. Run, today I run. Yesterday, simple past, I ran. I have run. So run, ran, run, but sometimes they're different. Buy, bought. Okay, a lot of very normal, simple verbs are irregular. I'm sure we'll see some during the lesson. How is it used in a sentence? Very basically, very basic sentence. Subject, you, called. Main verb with the ed, Debbie, object, noun. Very straightforward. Again, like simple present, because we don't have an auxiliary to begin the question. For example, if we use simple continuous tense, are you going to the party? When we form a question, we have are. You are going to the party in a statement. Because we have an auxiliary or helper verb, the verb to be, are, when we start a question, we always use the auxiliary verb first. Are you going to the party? Now, in simple present or simple past, we don't have any auxiliary. There is no helper verb. It's just the main verb at different form with ed, for example. So instead, this is why we use did or do, did in the past tense, obviously. This is why we actually use did, because we don't have an auxiliary verb. So the past tense part of a past tense question actually falls into the did. Did you call Debbie? Notice that call is in the normal, regular verb tense, present verb tense. The past, what designates it as past is did instead of do. Did you call Debbie? Okay, it's being used now as more or less a substitute auxiliary, which we have to use for questions and for negatives. You did not call Debbie. Again, we have to use do as sort of a substitute auxiliary for questions and negatives in the past tense. You did not call Debbie. Again, same thing as the question. The designation as past falls on the did, not on the main verb.
Sorry, teacher.
Of course, yes.
Sorry. Could you explain what the auxiliary mean?
Auxiliary. Yeah. Auxiliary verb or a helper verb are extra verbs that we use to help a verb tense. For example, in continuous tenses, we use the verb to be. I am going, past tense, I was going, or I will be going. So the verb to be or have in perfect tenses, I have gone, present perfect. I had gone, past perfect. I will have gone, okay. Future perfect, I need two auxiliaries. Helper, will, have, and my main verb, gone. So those little helper verbs, they're called auxiliaries.
Thank you, teacher.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking. It's a good question. Okay. All right. Before we start looking at uses and having you guys practice, I want to quickly welcome Igor. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Igor. Welcome to the class. And Oksana.
Yeah.
Hello. Hi again. Nice to have you here. And Alejandra. Hello.
Hello,
Hello. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Welcome to the class. Okay, let's look at uses of the past simple and examples, and then we'll try practicing them. First, foremost, most simple, most basic, a completed action in the past. This action has been completed. It is done. It is not continuing until now. For that idea, we have different verb tenses. It started and finished at a specific time in the past. This is key. Sometimes the speaker may not actually mention the specific time, but they have one in mind. Sometimes, in the interest of clarity, they will mention an actual specific time. Let's look at some examples. I saw a movie yesterday. All right, where get the word yesterday. We know this happened yesterday. The action is complete. It is over. Or negatively, I didn't see a play yesterday. Notice that we are normal spoken English. We're definitely going to contract. Did not. And speak it as didn't. Last year, all right, we do have a time clause. Makes it very, very clear. I traveled to Japan. Okay. This is a little tricky thing that I want to talk about for just a second. Last year, I traveled to Japan. This is considered one tough thing that the complicated thing you have to keep in mind here, all right, is this key phrase, a specific time in the past. All right? Sometimes that gets tricky. For example, last year. This is considered a specific time. When I say last year, I mean 2013, and that is considered a specific time. Let me throw you a curveball. What about if I say in the last year? Now, problem that occurs here. When I say in the last year, I'm not talking about 2013. I am talking about 365 days in the past from now, going back to October 23rd, 2013. Okay, this is considered a non-specific time. Okay, now I would be forced to use perfect tense. I have traveled to Japan. Why? Because I'm talking about 365 days into the past. This has a relationship to now. Also, I have no idea when I actually went. Did I go last month? Did I go 10 months ago? 6 months ago? I don't know. It is non-specific. Okay, so this is often one of the confusing elements of using, do I use past simple or do I use present perfect? All right, it's the whole bugaboo, the whole problem is knowing if your time clause is actually specific or non-specific. Looking at it another way, does it have a relationship to now? In the last year, I've traveled to Japan with present perfect, has a relationship to now. I could have traveled yesterday. I could have traveled 11 months and 3 weeks ago. You don't know.
What if it's in the previous year?
Oh, yeah, thanks, Igor.
So if it is it a past tense or past perfect tense in this case?
I think it would be the same as in the last year. In the previous year, I have traveled to Japan 3 times. We also don't know, notice in this red sentence here, we also don't know how many times. It's also non-specific in that way. Okay, I traveled to Japan, what, once, twice, 20 times? We don't know. So I think it would be the same. Okay. All right. Question form, did you have dinner last night? All right. In this case, we need did. Now, I know that I discussed earlier with Andre that have can be an auxiliary verb, but it can also be a main verb. Here it's a main verb, so I need did. All right. It's a main verb in the past simple form, so I need did. She washed her car. Oh, good for her. He didn't wash his car. Okay, very simple. A specific time in the past. Notice the last 2 examples. There's no time clause, but it is inferred that her action of her washing the car is over and done with completely. We don't know exactly when, but we know it's over. That's the key. Thus, it has no relationship to now. Or, negatively, the fact that he didn't wash his car is over. Yeah, okay, that's a little odd. Okay, thinking of these examples, let's see if we can make our own sentences. Salvatore, starting with you. Simple sentence using past simple, a finished action.
I I read a book yesterday.
Great. Okay, very good. Excellent, in fact. Good example, because reading is a long continuous action. This shows that Salvatore finished the book yesterday. We know he's finished the book. You can, if he's still reading it, he would not say, if he finished half of it yesterday, he would not use the past simple. He would say, I am reading a book. Okay. Or he might
can I say I was reading a book yesterday?
Yes, you can. I was reading a book yesterday. Continuous action.
That means that you didn't finish it.
Well, we don't know, actually. Actually, we have no idea. That's a difference between past continuous and past simple. We don't know. If you said I was reading a book yesterday, you're emphasizing the action and not the completion. This is another thing about past simple. It emphasizes the completion of the action. Okay? Whereas when we use continuous tenses, it tends to emphasize the actual verb or the actual action. All right. So you're trying to show that you were doing this action yesterday, whether done or not. We have no way to know. Andre, can you give it a try?
Yeah. I survived
Okay.
on the blizzard last night.
Okay. All right. Okay. First thing, pronunciation. Make sure to get your V's, Andre. I survived. You gotta use your top teeth. Have to kind of scrape against your bottom lip. Make it hurt. It should be ever so slightly painful. That's better. That is much better. Good one. Nice.
Okay.
Okay.
What's a blizzard? Sorry, what's a blizzard?
A blizzard is a snowstorm. Similar to a rainstorm, thunderstorm, a blizzard, a lot of snow, and probably a lot of wind. Okay. Now, I don't need to say, Andre, also, I don't need on here. Whoops. I do need survived. I do need the ED. But I do not need the on. I survived the blizzard last night. Okay? Direct object. It's okay.
Oh, gotcha.
All right. Cool. Igor.
Did you say something?
Okay. Did you say something? Okay, very good. All right, excellent. Notice that the past tense, we know that he means, did you say something in the past, because of did is past tense here. Okay, excellent. And we use the normal present tense of the main verb. Great. All right, very good. Excellent. Good example. Oksana.
Yes. Okay. I prepared cake a week ago. I prepared cake a week ago.
Okay, good example, but well, okay, this is a good example, but of course, like we talked about in our last class, cake can be countable or uncountable. So this is not wrong. She prepared cake. She made the concept of cake. We don't know how many or how, what exactly she's talking about. The food called cake she prepared. But if you want to say that you prepared one cake, then you can say a cake a week ago. Okay. Your answer is not wrong, but usually someone would, if I prepared a cake, I prepared 3 cakes, whatever. Usually you would count them. I love it that you used ago. Why? Because this is another one of those confusing time words. It's confusing. Is it specific or is it non-specific? Okay, it is specific. Whenever you see a sentence with ago, you are going to use past simple tense. Of course, there's many phrases: a week ago, 2 seconds ago, 40 years ago, a million years ago, whatever. There's a lot of different possibilities with a go. Every time you're going to need to use simple past. Okay, I'm very glad you used that. Okay, Alejandra.
Okay, I went to the cinema last Wednesday.
I went. Whoops, not W. W. Okay, I went to the cinema last Monday. Okay. Okay. Yep. Very good. Specific time here. Last Monday. Okay. Very good. Notice our phrases with last whatever. We have to use past simple. Another key. Okay. Let's move on to use number 2. Talking about a series of completed actions. These actions are done. Again, most importantly, understanding that they have no relationship to now. We can use, it is very common to see simple past in lists of completed events or completed actions. All right. Now, when we do this, I guess it's implied that these actions happen in sequence. First this, then this, then this, then this, and so on. Okay. Example. I finished work, walked to the beach, and found a nice place to swim. Also, not related to verb tense, something else entirely, but related to my intonation as I speak English. Please notice how I read this to you. I finished work, walked to the beach, and found a nice place to swim. Notice that I go up again at the end of the next clause, and then I drop down to
Like
a
a
very
singer.
low pitch. Like a singer, but okay, this is called listing intonation. This is a recognized, and this is a pattern, an intonation pattern we always use. So when you're using this usage of past simple to list things in sequence, you're going to use this intonation if you're speaking. Of course, you have to. Now this listing intonation, by the way, whatever you're listing, I picked Mary and Alfred and Mike to be on my team. All right, nouns, adjectives. Michael is courageous and brave and very intelligent. Adjectives, fine. Whatever you happen to be listing, and that includes phrases like this. Okay, so again, it is implied that first the person finished work, and after that they walked to the beach, and after he walked to the beach, he found a nice place to swim. Okay. Notice the subject noun is first, and then we have 3 verbs. So this is a simple sentence: subject, verb, verb, verb. Okay. Next, he arrived from the airport at 8. Here we have it's very clear because the speaker has even given us the times, the specific times. So it's very obvious what's going on with the sequence. He arrived from the airport at 8, checked into the hotel at 9, met the others at 10. Okay. And question form, did you add flour, pour in the milk, and then add the eggs? Ooh, I have to do something different because it's a question with my intonation. Because I have did. This makes it a yes or no question, by the way. Notice, did you say something? Igor's earlier, did you have dinner last night? When we make questions with did in the past simple, they are yes or no questions. Okay, so they have rising intonation at the end of the question. So, okay, I have to kind of make an exception here. Did you add flour, pour in the milk, and then add the eggs? 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 I don't know what to do. I'm going to have to use rising intonation because that's another intonation pattern. Yes or no questions, we rise at the end. Again, it is implied that you would add the flour first, then pour in the milk, then add the eggs in that order. That is the implication here. Okay, I think that's fairly easy to see how that works. Maybe later we'll come back to it, but I'm gonna continue because I want to make sure I make some other points and we can look at some other things here. Okay. Use number 3, duration in the past. All right, now obviously, usually when we think duration, we think continuous tenses. ING, am going, I am teaching, I was teaching yesterday. Okay, things that take time. However, we can use simple past to talk about a duration which starts and stops in the past. Notice the diagram, this action does not continue to the present. That's important. A duration meaning a longer action. Okay. All right, so put this all together. Hang on. A longer action, and we often use expressions like with for 2 years, for 5 minutes, for 2 seconds, whatever, or all day, all year. Other time words or phrases that kind of give away, we're going to have to use past simple with for or all. Here's some examples. I lived in Brazil for 2 years. Great. Shauna studied Japanese for 5 years. They sat at the beach all day. This implies the action, again, is over. They sat at the beach all day. They're not still sitting at the beach. All right. If they were, I'd have to say they have been sitting at the beach all day. Okay. They did not stay at the party the entire time. Okay. In this case, we don't have all or for, but it's kind of explained that you're talking about something that takes duration at the party the entire time. All right, we talked on the phone for 30 minutes. Notice, okay, when you have a dialogue, A and B here, how long did you wait for them? Obviously, waiting takes duration. Sometimes the verb itself is quite obviously speaking about something that takes time. We waited for 1 hour. Okay, well, that's very clear. Okay, let's try this one out because this is a little more complicated. Yes, Oksana?
Could we say I was living in Brazil for 2 years? It's not possible?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes, you can say that, but again, just like reading the book there, all right? I was living in Brazil for 2 years. Yeah, you can say that. Actually, no.
The same meaning, I lived in Brazil for 2 years, or maybe I was living in Brazil for 2 years, that's meaning I continue to live now in Brazil.
Just a slight difference in emphasis. Actually, either one of these is perfectly okay. All right. What is the difference? I lived in Brazil for 2 years. You're sort of emphasizing that you're done living there. Mm-hmm. The result of the action. Okay.
No live more. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And the second, your example, I was living in Brazil for 2 years. You're sort of emphasizing the verb. But in reality, for the listener, what's the difference? Very, very little. All right, it's kind of up to the speaker to emphasize what they want to emphasize. But for the listener, who cares? The point is, okay, you lived in Brazil for 2 years. Great. All right. This action is likely over for now, at least. Okay, but it basically says the same thing here.
Hmm.
All right.
Okay.
There's many cases where we can use different verb tenses, and it ends up the difference is so subtle and so slight that it really makes no difference whatsoever. Okay, let's try this out. Salvatore, talking about a period of time.
I slept on the sofa for all afternoon.
Okay. All right, you definitely have the right idea here, but one thing here, Salvatore, we don't combine for and all. We wouldn't say for all day, for all afternoon. We can probably here we would just say all afternoon. But we usually use one or the other, or we could say for the entire afternoon. Either one, but we don't use for all together. All right.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Yep. One way or the other. Very good. Andre? Give it a try.
Yes. I got the flat tire.
Okay.
During the way on the work.
Okay. Wait a minute here. First of all, tires are countable. 1 tire, 2 tires, 3 tires. So I have to use an article if I'm talking about one of them. Okay. I got a flat tire during the way. Okay. On the work? Nope. We would simply say during the way to work. Okay.
Sorry, can you just say on my way to work?
Yeah, I got a flat tire on my way to work is actually probably much more common, actually.
Yeah. The way I hear it, I don't really notice
On my way to work.
any English is used during.
I got a flat tire during. Well, if you worded it another way, you could use during. During my commute, for example. It's not wrong to use during. It's just not a normal collocation.
Yeah, the way I hear it, I don't really hear during a lot of times.
No. Yeah, but you've an unusual way to say it. That's right. This would be better. But I got a flat tire on the way to work. Okay. Yeah, I guess this is okay. This is close to at the party the entire time. On the way to work is something that takes you time. Yeah, okay. I think that's actually a very good example once we clean it up a little bit. Hello, Nader. Welcome to the class. Howdy, howdy. Okay, Igor, can you try giving us an example of talking about duration?
I didn't join a single verbal in class for a long time.
Okay, with a negative, okay. Okay, and with for a long time. Very good. Okay, for a long time. Now notice the for clause here is a sort of vague. Okay, I didn't eat cheese for a long time. All right. Actually, I'm glad you used this example. Even if we're talking about a finished action, okay, going back to the whole confusing thing about specific time or non-specific time, this seems very non-specific, right? I mean, I think you guys would agree. This doesn't seem very specific to me. But as far as English is concerned, unfortunately, it is considered to be specific. This is why it gets tricky. Okay. Now, this is tricky because I didn't eat cheese for a long time, or I can say I haven't eaten cheese for a long time. This is a very tricky time clause, actually. I can use either simple present, past simple, or present perfect. This is an extremely tricky phrase to show. Okay, and so here, this is a very tricky because you could go either way. Usually, with a time clause, you have to go one way or the other: past simple or present perfect. Yeah, okay. It would have to be. Yeah, Igor has a very strong point here. He's in the verbling class now, so obviously this doesn't have a relationship to now. Right, so we're going to have to look at the context. Very good point. Excellent point, in fact. That explains it very well. It has to have a relationship to now to be present perfect. And clearly, the fact that he hasn't joined a verbling class is not relevant to now because he's in one. Excellent. Very good point. Okay, so you got to think about context when you use this very common time expression, but very tricky. Okay, very good. All right, let's see here. Oksana, can you try to form a sentence?
Okay.
Talks about
I
duration.
washed dishes 1 hour. How say better? I was washing dishes for 1 hour, or I washed dishes for an hour.
Oh, again, it's just like your early example. It really doesn't matter.
Right.
What do you want to emphasize? That you finished washing the dishes, which is what this does, or I was washing dishes for an hour, or do you want to emphasize the fact that you're so hardworking and you worked for you were doing this action for a whole hour? This actually, your example here would be very common in our last usage. Okay, I washed dishes for an hour, then watched some TV. Okay, to listing things, finished actions in the past. So it would be very common to have these duration uses when you're listing actions in the past. Okay, very common to use it this way. I washed dishes an hour, then watched some TV. It would be stranger to say I was washing dishes for an hour, then watch TV. That would sound a little strange. Okay? So this usage is actually can be combined with talking about a series of completed actions, and some of your actions may actually take a duration of time, and some of them, you know, we're sort of combine those two usages, and it would be more common in that case to see this in past simple. Okay. Alejandra, your turn.
Okay. I practiced karate about 2 years.
Okay. Let's think of it. I practiced karate about 2 years. Okay, I think well, I'm not sure if it's necessary or not, but we usually about 2 years. Okay.
Okay.
We're making an approximation, not sure, for about 2 years. Okay. This would mean, all right, again, this would mean that she's done practicing karate. This action is over. But clearly, it's something that she did over and over again. All right.
Sorry, what's the pronunciation of this sport? Karate?
What's the what? Pronunciation?
Yes, what's the pronunciation of this word? Karate or karate?
It's carrot. No, I'm kidding. Joking. I don't know. I don't know because I hear people from with other languages calling it something else, but I call it karate.
Karate.
Yeah, we need one of our Japanese friends to explain to us exactly. Next time you have a classmate who's Japanese, you can ask them, because I would go with what they say. Honestly, they don't know. It's not an English-speaking native sport, so.
Probably you would be in trouble pronouncing this word exactly as the Japanese do, you know.
Well, I don't know. That's a very controversial point there you have there. How do you pronounce things? Well, do I pronounce it Mexico or Mexico? Well, people from Mexico call it Mexico. So as a sign of respect, I also call it Mexico. But of course, English speakers say Mexico. So I think either is acceptable.
Okay.
Yeah, one of those things. Nader, do you have an example of? Is that your example? I did not attend the class yesterday. Yeah, okay, I got it. Okay, in a way, but okay. All right. Well, is that really a duration in the past? Well, I guess the class lasted for a certain period of time, so I guess you could say that, or a completed action in the past. Sometimes, okay, we don't know exactly which category it fits into, because maybe it fits into 2 categories of usage. So, all right. Yeah, that's okay. Sure, I go with that. That could fit into 2 of our categories. This happens frequently, all right? You're actually using a verb tense in a multiple use kind of way, so that's not a problem. Okay, we can also talk about habits in the past in the same way that we use present simple tense to talk about habits now that you currently do. Okay, I brush my teeth every day. Great, that's a habit. It's normal. But if we're going to use simple past, obviously we're talking about a habit which stopped in the past. You don't do this anymore. Frequently, we use the phrase used to. All right? It is common in English to say I used to. I used to brush my teeth every day. Why did you stop? Okay. That implies that I stopped doing this activity, this habit. We often will also commonly use an adverb that emphasizes or expresses the fact that it's a habit and that it is continued, was continued over and over again. Things like always or often, or when I was a child, I used to chew my fingernails. Okay, for example. All right, let's look at some examples. I studied French when I was a child. Okay, he played the violin. Now here I don't have any real time indicators or expressions. Ooh. Okay. All right, Nader brings up a question about used to. I used to. Used to. I used to chew my fingernails as a child. Okay. What he's asking about pronunciation, S or Z. A pencil is used to write with, because we have totally different meanings, and we pronounce this differently depending on what we're expressing. Used to, S sound, to talk about a past habit. Used to express purpose. All right, I hope that explains it. Used to, present tense. Okay, a hammer is used to pound. A hammer is used to pound nails, or it could be past. A hammer was a past thing that's not used anymore. Let's see. Cassette tapes were used to record music in the past. Okay. Okay, you thought that Z in verbs, the use, well, yes, it doesn't have much use. That's as a noun. Okay, that's right, it is S. Z in verb, used to, but common, it would be very strange for me to hear somebody say, I used to go to the movies every Saturday. That sounds really weird to me. It means you were used as what? A vehicle to go to the movies every Saturday? Sounds bizarre. I don't know. I'm not sure, Nader, but as an American, I can tell you if somebody told me they were used to go to the movies every Saturday, I would assume that somebody rode their back like a monkey or something. It sounds extremely strange. I used to. In fact, they probably more commonly the pronunciation is reduced to "used to." I used to study French. Used to. Very reduced because it's such a common word. I used to do that, but I don't anymore. All right. Anyway, moving on. He didn't play the piano. Okay. Again, emphasis on the fact that this action has stopped. Okay, the X's here in the diagram stopped before the present. Did you play a musical instrument when you were a kid? All right. She worked at the movie theater after school. Okay. Wow, I'm running out of time here. Okay, let's continue. Hopefully you understand that this could be a repeated action, just like it's very similar to it could be an action that took duration. It's actually pretty much the same idea, but let's look at one more use here before we run out of time. Just like simple present, we can talk about what we consider. Again, what the speaker thinks of as a fact, or to make a generalization. We can use them about the past. Obviously, some things in the past are not necessarily true anymore, so we would talk about them in a past tense. Okay, so they're no longer true. Okay. Also, we can use used to for these things. All right. People used to use. Ah, how about that, Nader? People used to use. People used to use cassette tapes to record music. All right, a past generalization that is no longer true. Okay. She was shy as a child, but now she's very outgoing. Okay, something that's no longer true. Used to use, that's what it sounds like. You got it. He didn't like tomatoes before. All right. Clearly, again, these actions, as we see in the diagram, they're no longer true, so they are no longer in any way involved with the present, the now. All right. Did you live in Texas when you were a kid? Heaven forbid. People paid much more to make a cell phone call to make cell phone calls in the past. Ooh, yeah, okay. True. Okay, general facts. Okay, here's something to note before we practice. When clauses happen first, clauses are groups of words which have a meaning, okay, but not complete sentence, all right? Okay, when we start clauses with when, which is, in this case, a subordinator forming a dependent clause. When I dropped my pen, when class began. When clauses are very common in English, and they kind of force us to use specific verb tenses. When I paid her $1, all right, obviously you're talking about something in the past that already happened with a when clause. When I paid her $1, she answered my question. Okay, all right, so first you gave her $1. Then she answered your question. What happens if we reverse this? She answered my question when I paid her $1. Okay, nothing. It actually means the same thing, but the when clause doesn't matter if you use it first. If you're writing, remember when you use a subordinate clause or dependent clause, you need to have a comma if you're writing. Or you can have it second. It makes no difference at all. But it doesn't matter which order you say this. She answered my question when I paid her $1. All right. Again, the same thing. You paid her $1 first. Both mean exactly the same thing. There's no difference, these two sentences, by the way, at all. Okay. Okay, so, but however, if I move it, I paid her $1 when she answered my question. So again, this changes the meaning to she answered the question first, and then I paid her $1. Okay, just a side note about when, because it's often involved with simple past tense. Okay, all right, one last thing. I want to take a quick look at passive. With the past simple, Tom repaired the car. Very simple. Active sentence, Tom is the subject. Repaired, past tense. The car is the object. When I make a passive past simple, the car was repaired. The action happens to the subject now. Okay. If I want to say who did the action, I can add the clause or the phrase, the prepositional phrase, by Tom. This is very common. Again, we use passives when we don't care who did the action, or maybe it's completely obvious who did the action, or it simply doesn't matter who does the action. It's not relevant to the information. It doesn't have to, you don't need to have this phrase. This is still a complete sentence if you remove it. Very good. Nice prediction there. Nader, yes. It's not necessary. Often you see other prepositional phrases. The car was repaired in the morning for time. At the shop for place. It's very common to see other prepositional phrases with other information. Okay. Any questions about this or anything else? Maybe we'll practice a couple sentences in passive. Anybody have any questions? Because we only got a couple minutes left. All right. About anything about past simple? Okay. No. All right. Salvatore, you want to try giving me a passive sentence with this past simple?
Okay. The worker was called by boss.
Yeah. Okay. Was called.
Called.
Called. Yes, pronunciation was called. All right, by the boss. Okay. Sure, that works. Okay, so the construction, the past tense of the verb to be, okay, used again as an auxiliary or helper verb, and then in the passive form, the actual main verb is going to be is the past participle version. Okay. Okay. So, for example, write, present tense, wrote, past tense, written is the past participle. The book was written by Tom, for example, past participle. Andre, you want to try a passive sentence?
I used to have a good job.
Okay.
But I was perceived by colleagues on the wrong way.
I was what?
Perceived.
Don't get it. Percept? Eh?
Perceived by colleagues.
I don't get the meaning of percept.
I was but I was punished.
There we go. Okay.
Punished by superior.
There we go. Okay. 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 All right. Okay, you got a two-clause sentence here. I used to have a good job. Okay. This is talking about the past. You don't have that good job anymore. Okay. Great. All right. Now this is an active clause. But I was punished. Okay. The action happened to you. This is great, actually. This is passive. I was punished by, probably you're going to use some kind of determiner here. Probably punished by my superior. You need, superiors are countable, so you need some kind of determiner, either an article, a and the, or possessive, or this, that, something. Okay, excellent job here, showing how you can combine an active past tense with used to and a passive. Excellent, good job. Okay. Thank you guys very much. We're actually out of time, over time. I hope you learned a little bit about simple past. See you guys again real soon, I hope.
Thank you.
Thank you, Oakley. See you.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Bye.